Good afternoon. This is Dr. Mary with 4 Points Family Chiropractic. We are located in North Austin. I'm in the office right now, and I am hopping on here briefly to talk to you about light, quality of light, and what it does to our brains and our bodies. Because turns out it has a pretty big impact on a lot of different health processes, and the more you know, the better, right? So when we talk about light and exposure to sunlight, the first thing that people usually think about is vitamin D levels. Completely agree. That's a huge part of our general overall health. You know, vitamin D levels, and this got talked about a lot during COVID, vitamin D levels are hugely deficient in a lot of the population, particularly in adults, and even in kids now are showing vitamin D deficiencies. The only way to really know is to do a blood test. It's looking at your vitamin D levels and the vitamin D that's available in your blood, and that'll give a good indicator. Those are becoming more and more standardized in part of blood testing. It's a great value to know about yourself, but the light is, your body makes vitamin D, right? It's in the skin. What vitamin D needs is to be activated, and that's where the sunlight comes in. So the sunlight will activate it, and it'll get fully engaged in your liver and your kidneys, and then it's used for different processes in your body. Now, the one that's most notable and that we pay the closest attention to is your bone strength. Vitamin D is a huge part of making sure that your bones age well, they're strong, the internal structure is good, and that you can progress through life without risk of breaking, fractures, microfractures, anything like that. Now, about 41% of Americans are vitamin D deficient, and the number of people who have inadequate levels, who aren't technically deficient but don't have enough to be functioning optimally, is even higher than that. That research is actually from 2011, so there's definitely been some changes, particularly over the last few years. More people were inside for longer periods of time. Again, kids do a little bit better on this than adults because they still have recess. They're outside, they're playing outside more often. Adults rather tend to be inside more. So making sure that you're getting outside is gonna be important, and I'll talk to you a little bit more about when to do that in just a second. The other thing that's important about vitamin D is it's actually a huge contributor to your mood. So a lot of people, when they're vitamin D deficient or inadequate, will have almost a depressed presentation, and they don't quite know why. Their energy levels are low. Obviously that can be some other things, but vitamin D, that's an easy thing to just check or supplement, make sure you're getting outside and see if you have a mood increase. And that also works on part of your brain, which I'll talk about more in a second as well. But you know, for a chiropractor, when we're talking about vitamin D levels, we also talk to patients about their bone health. Now, chiropractic is one of the things that helps greatly with bone health, spine health, and aging appropriately. Patients who have osteopenia, osteoporosis actually do really, really well with chiropractic care, because what we're doing is reestablishing body biomechanics so that people can load themselves with weight in a healthy and appropriate way. Now, what that's doing is taking advantage of something called Wolff's Law. And when you put stress on the bone remodels in a way that makes it stronger. So you can see how for chiropractic care, we're trying to make sure that the bone remodels in the best possible way. So if you do know somebody who has been diagnosed with vitamin D deficiency, if they have an inadequacy, if they've been told they're osteopenic, osteoporotic, consider getting them checked by a chiropractor. Sometimes this can help with helping the aging process. Now, quality of light, our brains and our bodies are evolved to be sensitive to light. We're very, very sensitive to it, react to it very, very strongly. There's a part of your brain called the suprachiasmatic nucleus, the SCN, and it's attached to the outside through your eyes. So the eyes will interpret the light and send it directly back to the SCN, and the SCN is your body's clock. Now, what the SCN does is it sends signals to the rest of your body to make sure that the other little clocks, your cellular clocks, your liver, all of that is working in an appropriate manner and time. So our problem is that we have really, really messed with our clocks, and it's really nobody's fault. You'll hear a lot people talking about blue light versus sunlight. Now, here's why that's important. Blue light waves, like the lights above me, are heavy blue light, right? So anything that's fluorescent has blue light in it, even if it doesn't look blue. That's kind of a misnomer. So that blue light, what it does is it wakes your brain up. It tells it that it should be awake, and it also suppresses melatonin. Now, melatonin people will take, right, as a supplement to get themselves to go to sleep. It's actually a hormone. Your body produces it naturally. But when there's blue light, the light tells your brain not to produce melatonin. And that's when people can kind of get dependent on using the melatonin to tell the body to go to sleep. The easier thing is to eliminate your blue light exposure. And it takes a little bit longer, it's more subtle, but it is more sustainable. So, what do you do about that? So the best thing to do, and this is, I know this is so hard, like I get it, I do a doom scroll too, but try to put your phone and your screens away at least an hour before bed. 2 hours is better. I know, it's tough. If you absolutely need to be looking at a screen, you can get blue light blocking glasses, but I'm gonna urge you to make sure that you're doing some research on the quality of the blue light blocking glasses. You can get them a lot of places and they'll claim to be blue light blockers, and they probably do to some extent, but you're looking specifically for glasses that will block the 460 to 495 wavelength range. That's the part of the blue light range that tells your brain to wake up. So we've replaced most of the lights in our life with LED lights, and those seem to be more blue than anything else. And they're great for energy efficiency, but unfortunately they're really impacting our overall health. And that's what you're gonna wanna be trying to avoid as much as you can, because that blue light, particularly in the evenings, is shifting our circadian rhythm. And that's why often people will have trouble falling asleep, staying asleep, waking up at strange times. And there's going to be some sort of seasonal variability here depending on your latitude and what time of day you wake up. But limiting that blue light in the evening is going to be the biggest tool that you can do, because we want to make sure that we're setting the SCN to be functional for our health. Now, that evolution to be sensitive to light and the melatonin role that it plays, a good thing to know about melatonin is that it also suppresses cancer cells. So you can supplement with it, but again, you don't want to be dependent on it. You want your body doing it on its own, because that process is very protective for our overall health as well. So blue light isn't good or bad necessarily, it's your exposure level to it. The timing is probably the most important thing. So when you are indoors chronically, you are getting about 300 to 500 lux indoors, and lux is a measurement of light exposure. So about 300 to 500, and outside is anywhere from 10,000 to 100,000. That part, that light, the wavelengths that you're getting from sunshine, that's what's helping the SCN function the way that it's supposed to. So they've linked blue light exposure to, they've linked it to cancer, which has been an interesting study, particularly in women who do shift work, who are under blue light and don't see a lot of sunlight. They actually saw an increase in breast cancer presentation. And that's not even taking into account psychological presentation, right? When people aren't sleeping or they're getting too much blue light exposure, they're having direct links to things like depression, anxiety, PTSD. And when we're talking about shift work, that's a lot of people. There's about 25 million people that work shift work in the United States alone. So making sure that you're getting that light exposure is important. When do you do it? So morning is best. You want early and 1 hour at least. Now, you don't have to do it right away on waking up. Watching the sunrise is a great way to do it, but it's also helpful to do it even after breakfast. Wake up, have breakfast, have your coffee, get a little bit of movement in, and then go outside. Try to do a walk, shoot for an hour, 30 minutes is good. You're making sure that you're getting that light exposure to let your body know and your brain know that it's time to start the clock. Now, as the day progresses, try to be outside for little stints as well. But then the other important time is at the end of the day. If you can watch the sun set, that's fantastic. That's ideal. But a lot of us come home, it's already dark, particularly in the winter, and what do? We sit down in front of the TV. We get on our phone. A lot of people have screens in their bedrooms. I know people that just like to have the TV on for background noise while they sleep. that's terrible. That's putting a lot of blue light and background noise, and it's affecting your sleep whether you realize it or not. So making sure that you don't have blue light exposure or screens in your room and that you have true dark is very, very important. You can use blocking curtains. Most people forget about ambient light, so things like the street lights, maybe your neighbors have the light on, they have a floodlight, something like that. Making sure that you're limiting your light exposure in your bedroom is good, but really making sure that the blue light just isn't available to you. Now, I'm not asking you to walk around in the dark. Obviously, at nighttime, we need to be able to see things. A good alternative that you can use, they actually make light bulbs that are built for this. And I have the name on my notes here, which of course I'm not gonna be able to find. I will post it in the comments or on our Facebook. There is a particular brand of light bulbs that are good for this, and they're blue light blocking light bulbs. So they still give you that warm light, but they don't give you the blue light wavelengths. You can also just get on Amazon and buy orange or red or amber light bulbs and put them in your bedroom lights. Now, we've also have experienced a lot of patients don't feel comfortable getting up in the middle of the night and going to the bathroom without turning a light on. You can get them in night lights also so that you can see where you're going without waking your brain up. So you know that trick where you're trying to wake up but not wake up all the way? That actually helps with it. So even changing your light bulbs, your quality of light makes a big difference. So the big takeaways from this are to make sure that you are setting your body clock appropriately. Make sure you're getting at least an hour of morning light in little increments throughout the day. I know people can be concerned about sun exposure, and if it's in little stints, you shouldn't have to worry about it too much. Obviously, we're in Austin, Texas. I'm avoiding the heat at all costs, so prioritizing morning and evening is gonna be the best thing for you. See if you can watch the sunset and then change the quality and exposure of your light. So again, orange light, red light, amber light. I will post the type of light bulbs that you can get as an alternative to your regular LED light bulbs. That will help as well. And making sure that you limit your screen time at the end of the day. If you absolutely cannot, then get blue light blocking glasses that block the 460 to 495 wavelength of the blue light. All of that will help. Take some patience, let that clock reset. If you are somebody or you know somebody that's having trouble with that clock reset, maybe they're waking up in the middle of the night. All of this also depends on your neurology functioning appropriately. The SCN has to be able to send signals to the rest of your cells in your body to function at the time and rate that they're supposed to. All of that depends on a healthy nervous system. That's where chiropractors try to make the most out of what we do. We're trying to reestablish that connection between your brain and your body in the most effective, healthy, and fast way possible. So if you know someone that needs to get checked out for that, they can call into our office and mention the word light or this Facebook Live, and they can get the full exam, including neurological testing, any necessary x-rays, biostructural exam, and a follow-up with the doctor to review the findings. That all is typically $348. If they call and they mention light or this Facebook Live, they can get it for $97, and it's a great way to get checked. So thank you for tuning in. I will post the name of that brand. I was so excited to find it. I will make sure that it is in the notes and on our Instagram as well. Thank you for tuning in, and check us out next month where we'll be doing another health Facebook Live. Thank you so much.